Yeah, so I think going into this week, there's a lot of focus on Nvidia, which is such a big bellwether stock. But I think as we look into the earnings, we feel pretty confident that the company should be on track to deliver, if not beat the earnings, despite what we have seen is still some supply chain bottlenecks around their more higher-end NVL racks. But we do think that they will be able to still deliver the upside, especially as they're able to see the strength in their B200 chip, as well as in the very near term. We see a very strong strength coming out of China for their H20. After DeepSeek, we've seen, I think, this increased demand for their H20 chip going to the China market.
Frank, what is Nvidia likely to tell us about the capex outlook?
I think, the capex outlook is the market's already digested it, given, I think the immediate reaction after DeepSeek was whether the AI capex trajectory, especially by the hyperscalers, would start to reverse course. But within a matter of weeks, not only have the capex trajectory not come off, it's been revised up. Most of the hyperscalers have increased their capex somewhere close to 20% during this earnings season. So I think from the capex trend for this year is still pretty well set, and I think that has given the market some confidence in the last couple of weeks as the stock has started to bounce back.
Frank, how significant is Grok 3 still in beta, right, for Nvidia? Because I think I read somewhere that they used double the number of Nvidia GPUs to come out with Grok 3 versus 2.
Yeah, I think that in terms of the computational, one of the pushbacks was related to DeepSeek is do we need such big language models in computation? But as we continue to see, the full impact of data processing isn't fully reflected yet. We have seen, if you look at data in terms of the language model, the training, if we go into video, that's going to increase computation significantly. And I think on a longer term basis, Nvidia has started to talk about some of the growth aspects, such as the auto market, as well as if you look at besides auto, robotics is another area. And as far as Grok 3, I think this is something that is still relatively early on. But I think at the same time, Nvidia hasn't seen any kind of slowdown in demand so far this year. If anything, the supply still remains the issue for Nvidia right now.
Frank, two questions to round off. Have you got a line on what Blackwell revenue will look like? And help us understand why you cut the target price on Nvidia to 175 from 185 prior.
Sure. I think if you look at our Blackwell revenue, we think they're still on track to probably do somewhere around $5 billion in the January quarter, and more than double that as we go into the April quarter. And as we alluded to, I think in our research, we believe that they are, even though there is a slower ramp on their server rack, NVL rack, GB200, they'll be able to make that up through the standalone GPU. And the reason we've cut our number is that if you think about a couple of months ago, the expectation was that the rack server architecture, which was going to be a lot stronger than we had expected. We think there'll be some downward revision because of supply chain issues, but we still think there's still going to be enough to deliver upside to the overall consensus earnings.